Welcome to Demming Chronicles. And on this week's program, we have two wonderful guests. They are Reynold Cooper and Vaughnette Bigford. Demming Chronicles, a program in which we believe that we can change the conversation, because changing the conversation is one way of impacting the behaviors in our country. We bring you the views and opinions of persons whose ideas may not be mainstream, but those ideas make a difference and they can help our country solve some of our wicked problems. Demming Chronicles. Thank you for being with us. We'll be back with you shortly. Welcome to Demming Chronicles, and on today's program we have Reynold Cooper. This is season 2 of Demming Chronicles, and we've had Reynold Cooper on the program before, but today we want to talk to him about transformation. Welcome, Mr. Cooper.
Thank you much, Denise. It's a pleasure to be on your program again.
Thank you. And I want to start the ball rolling with, if you could dream of a future of Trinidad and Tobago, what would you like to see us transform to? Where do you want to see us go to?
Okay, before I respond to that question, can I say that I'm involved in other organizations, and when we talk about transformation, I always tell people that we should learn to innovate rather than imitate. So because whenever we talk about transformation, we always talk about other countries, other organizations, which is good because we don't have to reinvent the wheel. But I think we are very unique. According to David Rudder, we are oil and music. So what we should do is don't imitate, but innovate. So that's the first point I want to make. The second point I would like to make is that the Prime Minister, in his vision, created a Ministry of Public Administration and Digital Transformation, which is headed by Senator Alison West, who is a member of JC's International. So I think she has a good pedigree, in my view. And the mandate of the ministry is to transform Trinidad and Tobago into a more digitized economy. So having said all of that, you asked me the question, if I could dream of the future of TNT, I would say in my vision for it, in my dream, I would like to see the national agenda achieved on or before 2030, which is the Vision 2030 that this government set when they came into office in 2015. All right, so that is my dream, to see that the Ministry of Public Administration and Digital Transformation achieve its mandate, and which is to transform our economy using digitalization. It's a whole mouthpiece. Sorry about that.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah. Digitalization. Great.
Yeah. There's a digitization and the digitalization.
Well, it's very digitalization, not
yes.
Not digitation.
Yes, I just want us to be a little more.
Or you could say technology is the way to go, really.
Yes. But if we could just be a little more granular with regard to the transformation and give me some examples of, again, we're dreaming. What is something you would see that would be different in 2030?
Well, the thing is that we have already been in an area where we have a lot of technology. And if you look at your phone, there are some people who have a phone, but they don't have electricity in their homes. All right. And a lot of things your phone can do, which normally years ago, when there were no mobile phones, you could not do. All right. Your phone, besides talking to someone, wherever you are, wireless, you can take a picture, you have your calendar, you have your different things, your schedules, you have your timepiece. I can go on and on and on. So we have that already in the system. So all we need to do is to ensure that the same comfort you have using your phone, persons should have the same comfort when they're dealing with public services. all right? And the public services should be more user-centric so that we can, if you call a government office, you could get things very quickly, all right? It's the same way how you want to go to a friend. I can recall years ago, you have to go to a friend's home. You have to get directions. Now you could use Google Maps, Waze, and all different sort of things to get to your friend. All right. And that ease of getting things done should be the same way with a government service. All right? But it is happening. It is not something new because there are a lot of things that have changed since I joined. I joined the service in 1980. And when I joined the service in 1980, there were no computers. And then we got a computer. On that computer, you had to put in a 5.25-inch disk to load these different software. Now you have all offices have computers, right? And it's the easy access. Years ago, for music, you had to have either 45 or 33 or the LP. All right. My children don't even know what an LP is or 33 is, right? They know music from using a disc. Or not even a CD sometimes. They just have, you could download it through YouTube.
Yes.
So things are there already. So what I am saying is that we want to have an ease of access. And you could go on the internet, you could go on a website and get things done.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that if there's a like for example, you want to know about the weather, for example, you want to know if there's any roadblocks, if there's any traffic, those things for the government, you should be able to get it very, very easy. Things should come to your phone as quickly as possible, or you can get it. If you go through the banks have it also. So the ease of access of getting things done is what I believe should happen in the future. That's it. That's the transformation.
Okay, and that is a lovely picture you have just painted for us about what the possibilities are. And you've also put a date on it. You want to see it happen by 2030, which I totally share. But tell me, what is hindering us from achieving that transformation?
I would say two things. One is the fiscal constraints. The government just don't have the money to do a lot of things now. All right, and that is a developmental thing that we need to do because one of the things we need to do is to make sure we have internet access throughout the country. All right, and it's happening. I can recall years ago where you had to pay for internet access. Now you go to a lot of places and you can get free Wi-Fi. All right. So, but the thing about it is that because we have had a budget deficit for more than 10 years, the government do not seem to have the funding to put a lot of things in place. So that to me is one hindrance to get things moving. The second thing is that some employees in the government service tend not to want to learn new skills. They are comfortable with doing things a particular way. You will hear people say, well, we have always done this way. All right, and to change it is a difficulty. But change has to come because there are a lot of things that we are doing now which we never did before. All right, and going forward, we have to learn to do things differently, which we have been doing, because years ago there were no IT departments in a lot of businesses, and so too in government service. Now there's an IT department. And you are doing a lot of things electronically now, which before you weren't doing. You can make appointments. And that's one of the things that the pandemic has done to our country. There are some good and some bad to it, really. But to me, the good is that people are now getting used to using the internet much more often than they were doing in the past. Yeah. All right. And, and if years ago you asked a student about online learning, they will ask, so what is that?
Yeah.
Students know what online learning.
Yeah. I want us to just talk a little bit about the human potential there, because you raised two issues. You talked about the fiscal constraint, and then you talked about the attitudes. And I wonder, what could we do, or what could be done in any area just to change some of the negative attitudes that you sometimes see coming from the public service?
I think I would say there's a negative attitude. What I'll say is that people have a comfort zone, and they come to work and they are used to doing something in a particular way, so they will continue doing it. All right. But over time, you will change, because a lot of people have changed. Because years ago, we didn't have any mobile phones, but now we use it a lot, and we use our phones for almost anything. All right. And to give one example, people look at movies on their phone. All right. But still, you will go to a movie house with your friends and have a lime and look at it. So, but the thing about it is that there's a comfort zone that people have, and if people get used to doing something in small degrees, small stages, I think they will do it. Right? I think it's a case of trying to nurture people into it, and youths are doing it. You may find more the elder persons not wanting to do it, but I think the younger persons are the ones who more receptive to change, and that will happen then. And
Yeah.
I think people got to realize that it's going to make their work easier. It's going to improve productivity. I think they may be more receptive to the changes that are happening. But I think what we need to do is to have small changes. Start small and build on it, rather than try to do a huge change at one time.
All right. I couldn't let you answer that question in that way and not ask you for a couple examples, because you say that what I'm hearing you say is incremental change can bring us to the mass change that we require. Where would you see as the real pinch points for that incremental change to occur?
Okay, if you look at the police, like recently the police are introducing body cameras. All right, and this is something that they never used before, but they're going to use it now. All right, so you have videos will be all over the place, so that people could have an idea of what the police are doing at any given time. Right, so that's one instance of it. The other instance of it, you will have, for example, if you want to make an appointment for your driver's permit or for your passport, you can go online, okay, and make the appointment and then go in. There are a lot of things you can do even before you reach the office. You could follow the forms. So when you reach the office, all you have to do there is already there on the system. You spend less time at the office. Now, it makes it easier for the staff, all right? Even with payments, because sometimes you can pay. Now, a lot of government offices in the past, you had to work with cash, right? In fact, even salaries were paid in cash. I remember years when I joined this service, they used to give you an envelope with cash in it. Now, then they started giving persons checks. Now they're doing the ACH, right? Automatic clearinghouse, where people's salaries are going directly to the bank. Okay, so now a person could make an online payment using a debit card or credit card with a chip on it. So those are some of the examples in terms of people getting things done, right? And it's much more easier, than having to, do the physical way.
Yes. So as we bring this interview to a close, Reynold, tell me, what needs to happen in the social and economic environment to enable the transformation that we're looking for?
I think one of the things the government needs to do is to improve the ease of doing business. All right, because local business, everything you do normally starts with the local businesses, right? Digicel, B-Mobile, right? And then if you go to other things, businesses are the ones who are doing things. And what we can do is have like areas where the businesses get together. In fact, there are different chambers that get together, but the government should facilitate the businesses doing things. All right, The other point too is we need to increase access to the Wi-Fi because there are certain areas of Trinidad and Tobago. If you look at Tobago, you know, Scarborough area, you have a lot of Wi-Fi access. I don't know whether or not in Roxborough, for example, if the Wi-Fi system is there. Even in Trinidad, you have certain remote areas you don't have Wi-Fi access, right? In fact, you don't even have bank branches. A lot of the banks do have branches in some of those remote areas, right? The other thing we need to do is to improve the policy making by having collaboration with business, trade unions, non-profit organizations, civil society groups, right? Because the government can't assume to know everything. We can't assume to know all the answers. All right. So that once you do that and engage persons, I think that is going to make the policy making much easier. And for example, like recently, one of the things I heard the discussion being made on is having digital signatures so that somebody can sign a form. It's not actual signature, it's a sort of an electronic coding that they use for persons to do that, right? And I know Kariri has been doing some work with the Ministry of Public Administration and Digital Transformation, where they do things like the virtual reality and something that is new to a lot of people, but I am aware of it, which is called the augmented reality, which is a kind of hybrid between a physical and the virtual. And to give an example, sometimes people who design buildings, all right, they will let you walk through the building before it is built, and you could physically go through the building, but it's a digital image, but you actually going through the building. So the mixing a bit is a kind of hybrid between physical and virtual as it is. The other thing I will encourage is that they train and develop the public officers into new skills, because you're going to need new skills, right? And the government is aware of that because they are trying to build the skills of persons, the development skills especially, and it's somehow is going to improve somewhere in the future. Is it possible? I think it is. Should we do it? Yes. And I think the pandemic, in one way, has assisted persons who looking at virtual means of doing things in the future.
And on that note, we bring this edition to Demming Chronicles to an end. A very hopeful note. Is it possible? Yes. Shall we do it? Yes. Both yeses from Reynold Cooper, former head of the public service. And on today's program, we had a wide-ranging discussion in which he's expressed a view that by 2030, we should be able to have some significant transformation in our country. And the key issue to the transformation is the ease of doing business, improving that ease of doing business. Demming Chronicles, thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. Welcome to Demming Chronicles, Season 2. And on today's program, we have Vaugnette Bigford. I know Vaughnette as a fantastic singer, and I love that. But Vaughnette, tell me, what brings you joy?
Oh, girl, these days, so many different things. Eh? I'm thinking about recently, let's say maybe in the last year with all the challenges that we've been going through. Simple things, you know, because of course, you know, the bigger things that would have given me joy, I have to kind of scale back on it. So for me these days, I wake up in the morning, I see the smile of my son and my husband, and some books, Denise. I've gone back into reading books. I used to be an avid reader. I didn't read for many years, as much as I wanted to, so I've gone back to that. So these days, a wide array of books and just spending time in my bed reading my books.
Can you share with our viewers one of the books that is inspiring you at the moment? What is the one that stands out?
Becoming Michelle Obama, a wonderful wonderful, wonderful read. Just, her experience in terms of the career, the family, the building of the relationship, just her becoming the person that she is today, and understanding that her walk is not far different from any of us, really. There are lots of similarities in all of us. So that book right up there for
That
me.
That is really an excellent book, and I endorse your joy that you're getting from Michelle Obama's book. But you're a creative in our country. Tell me, what is needed for creatives like you to thrive?
Opportunity, investment, mindset. And I say mindset more so because I'm of the belief that we don't see, and when I say we, I'm talking about as a collective, we don't see the creative industry as we should. If we're a forward-thinking nation and we're looking at how we could export Trinidad and Tobago, when we don't pay attention or when we don't invest in art, culture, and creativity, we're missing a grand opportunity. So that's why I say investment, mindset, because the mindset has to start from the people who are putting the infrastructure there for the quote unquote industry to be built. Because I don't really like to say industry. We say, oh, we have a music industry, we have this, but industry, when you use the word industry, there are several things that are actually supposed to happen for it to actually be a thriving industry. And I don't know if we're there yet. But so mindset in general, I'm talking about not necessarily the mindset of the population, but the people who have to put the infrastructure in place for it to grow. And for me, opportunity, creating spaces for creatives to be. And sometimes creating spaces, we have to do it as well too. But those are the three words I use.
Yeah. When you talk about creating spaces, can you share a little more about what is that for me? Because I observe a lot of the performers, and they really have to massage some of the physical infrastructure in order to make an excellent performance. So tell me a little more about the spaces that you see that we need to create.
When I talk about space, we're putting all these wonderful programs. I can talk specifically about the program that UTT has. I'm speaking specifically to music and other aspects of creating. But then when these people graduate, what's next? Where do they go to showcase all that they've learned? And when I'm not talking about a one spot in Port of Spain, a one spot in San Fernando, and stuff like that. I'm talking about, if we're talking industry, we're inputting or we're investing in programs to what end? For them to do what? So when I talk about creating spaces, space is an opportunity. Physical spaces, and for me, programs and other things like that where we could make the thing a little more sustainable. As I said before, some of us as creatives, we have to create this space ourselves, but we can't do it alone today. We can't.
That's an excellent point. I just want to go back a little to many years ago. Our community centers were all built with a stage, and the intention, I thought, was that would be an opportunity for creatives. Why hasn't that worked?
I don't know, I don't know. And it used to work there at something as simple as Best Village. Something as simple as Best Village. And these little things that would build community. You're always performing. Creatives I remember creatives in Labrie and Vessany and Point. We always have a space to go. We always have something to do. And of course, the community center was that physical space where everything would happen. I don't know where it broke down. Right now, we don't even have a functional community center in Labrie. We don't even have a physical space. So I don't know where that broke down, but those things were so important in actually having a the physical space and the opportunity for people to just get together and bond and build community. Yeah.
Vaughnette, would you like to share with us some of the work that you are doing in La Brea? Because a couple of years ago, you did a kind of talent discovery program. Tell us something about that program.
Dee, I tell people I was born and raised, and I still live in La Brea. La Brea is very, very dear to my heart. It's very, very dear to my heart. And coming from the same point that we made, I'm not seeing the opportunity and the spaces for young people to get together and do something positive. And I see these young people every day. I see them when I walk the streets. I see them when I drive in my cars, and they're just filtering. And as young, talented, and I'm talking about raw, unfocused, natural talent. So I'm saying to myself, as against figuring out, or as against sitting and waiting to say, okay, who is going to do for them? I said, well, okay, I elaborate. Let me see if I could provide an opportunity for young creatives or young people to get together and showcase their talent, because we have so many talented children right in La Brea. So that's where the whole idea of the Vaugnette Bigford School for the Arts. Of course, COVID come and kind of put a little dent in my plans, but the intent is to really have a functional, operational School for the Arts in La Brea, where I could actually have these young people, I mean, from 5 up until 18, come together, music lessons, drama lessons, theater, visual arts, whatever. That's the plan for the future. Yeah.
Well, I want to wish you the best with that plan. And what I like about it is that it is the Vaughnette Bigford strategy. It's your plan. And that is a kind of legacy that will make a tremendous difference. Yeah. Let's just switch the conversation a little bit to the business side of the cultural landscape. How could the cultural sector thrive, and how could it become an income generator? Just in the same way that we see lawyers, doctors, accountants, all of them, engineers, and so on, as income generators. How could the cultural sector be an income generator for our country?
It has to start with the infrastructure, as far as I'm concerned. Now, we have people coming out, and we have people doing things in little pockets. So like I say, I try to create my own space. I've never been one to sit and wait on government or wait. I've always thought that Vaughnette, I have to create opportunities for myself. By extension, opportunities will be created for others in that whilst I'm doing that. But I've always felt that I didn't want to sit down and be too dependent on people to lay foundation and create opportunities for me. I wanted to be in control of where my career was going. How can we? I mean, so I do my things to generate my own income but I believe it has to come from some sort of, as I say, structured. We can't have an industry and have individuals doing things in silos. We can't. If it has to be structured, sustainable, and make sense, some body or some power or some organization has to take responsibility for where they see the direction of culture as an income generator going. And it means that different people will have to have input, but I'm saying that we can't depend on each artist or creative to do it. It has to fall under the umbrella of something that makes sense, something that we could see something or some organization that has a 20 or 25-year vision for how it's going to go. So I ain't too sure how, I don't know. I'm just hopeful. I'm just hopeful, that's all.
No, I am quite clear that we have the talent, and you've just said something that to me is wonderful. If you can have a 25-year vision, then, and you put the right infrastructure in place, then Trinidad has a lot that we can offer to the world. Yes. But Vaughnette, you're a singer. Tell me, what advice do you have for young persons who are passionate about bringing their voices to the forefront and having other people experience the joy and beauty of their voices?
For me, Denise, I am telling young people 2 things. I tell them. 1, to thine own self be true. And it took me a very long time to get there. So I like to, if I have the opportunity to tell young people, if you don't have to wait all them years, then don't wait all them years. Understand from now that as an artist, you need to find what is unique about what you have to offer and play on that. There are many talented people out here. There are many people with wonderful voices. What is it that's going to make Denise and her family want to come hear me? That's what's important. You have to figure out what is unique about what you have to offer and play on that. And next thing I tell them, here now, it have free social media right now, you know. Use social media to develop and build a brand. You can't just want to appear and expect people to follow because you are not the Pied Piper. It doesn't work like that. You have to build a brand, and it doesn't require a great investment as in its current dispensation. You can do so for very little cost, but you have to be consistent and put things out there. Allow people to figure out who you are. Oh, I like this person, but you have to be consistent. Consistently putting things out there until people get accustomed to the sound, and then they want to pay and hear you. But it requires consistency and use of something that is very free, social media.
All right, Vaughette, tell me something. What is your day like to keep your voice so beautiful? How do you do that?
You know, Denise, I'm not so disciplined there, so I really should be practicing a lot more. But I find it extremely difficult to get up and practice if I don't have a specific thing to do. I'm not saying that it's right. It's not right, because I should really be practicing a little every day. But at this stage right now, if I have something that I'm working towards, then that discipline comes in. If not, well, then I get up, I breeze out, I read my books, I get up, I get something to eat, you know. I may listen. What I find myself doing a lot is listening to a lot of music these days. And of course, I'm influenced by the music I listen to. So it's not as if it's all downtime. Listening, active listening is also part of doing what I do as well.
And as we bring this interview to a close, Vaughette, I just want to ask you, what has been the impact of COVID on Vaugnette Bigford?
Oh, what cute. Hannah, I don't want to use the word devastating because it was not devastating, and I don't just want to use the word because it's there. But very challenging, because post-Petrotrin, my decision basically was to play my music full time. That was my decision. So I was heading into that kind of gung-ho when COVID hit, planning my events, producing my own events and stuff like that. Kind of just building the Vaugnette Bigford brand outside of just singing on stage. And then COVID hit. And I'm telling you, it is not an easy thing to have your bills running and absolutely no income. It is a very, very challenging thing. And it played a lot on my mental until I got to the point where I realized, hey, what? I don't have no control over this, you know. And because I have no control over it, I have to find new and innovative means to get my voice out there and to get a little money in my pocket. So I found myself kind of coining different things, doing the jazz in your house, jazz in my backyard and stuff like that, you know. But it's been a very, very challenging time.
But despite the challenges, Vaughette, I just want to commend you that despite all that you say about COVID, you have continued your brand, and you've continued building, and you've continued creating. Demming Chronicles. On today's program, we had Vaugnette Bigford, whom I wish to thank. Vaughnette's attitude is we need the infrastructure, we need the activation, and we need for young people to be true to their craft. Demming Chronicles. We'll be back.